Hi, welcome to the San Gabriel Fire Department. I'm Captain Antonio Negretti, and I'll be your host for this next segment of the inner workings of the San Gabriel Fire Department. You know, when we're out and about, a lot of people ask us about the clothing that we wear when we combat a structure fire. So there's some interesting facts about that, and we're here to talk to you today about that particular clothing. Joining me today is firefighter paramedic Brent Patterson, who's been with the department for almost 5 years now, and we're going to talk about his clothing that he has graciously agreed to share with us today. So Brent, I noticed that this looks heavy, first of all. How much additional weight are you wearing when you're wearing this clothing to combat a structure fire?
Well, depending on each individual's amount of tool and equipment, this clothing plus our breathing apparatus weighs anywhere between 50 and 75 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot of weight. So you can see why firefighters have to be in such good shape. So these particular boots that we have here, what's different about these boots that are different than the normal station boots that we wear?
Well, per NFPA, they have to be a certain height. We want to be able to keep them dry. We don't want water coming up and over to the level of our boots. We have protection for our shins here in the front so that we're not banging around as we're crawling around in a very hot environment. Also, there's a steel toe in these to protect our feet from getting smashed on anything that we may be crawling around in or might fall.
Awesome. So I know when I first started with the fire department, we wore rubber boots, and now they're leather. Is this your preference on wearing the leather?
Yeah, the leather boots, they fit your foot a little bit better. It's almost like a customized fit, as well as similar to like a snowboard boot, there's a grip for the back of your heel so you don't get that heel slip that you would in a rubber boot.
Okay, interesting. Now, I noticed these are your turnout pants, your bunker pants. What temperature rating do these have? Like, what if you're inside a structure fire, how hot of a temperature are you going to be able to withstand with these particular pieces of clothing?
So these pants are rated up to 500 degrees, which is hotter than most people cook in their ovens, which is good for us because we don't want to get burned. The bad thing is they don't breathe, because along with that heat protection, there's also a outer shell, and then there's also a moisture barrier in there as well so that we don't get steam burn.
Yeah, because that would be pretty bad to be shooting water inside a fire, have it convert to steam, and it ends up burning you. Probably even worse than a direct flame would. Interesting. So I see the next piece over there is your coat. All right. What do you like to carry on your coat?
There's a few things that I like to make sure that I have with me at all times. I have a door stop so that I have a door control. You don't want doors locking behind you. I have a flashlight. This particular one's a knucklehead. You can point it wherever you need it to go, so that if you're crawling around, which we have to stay low in a fire, it's not just pointing directly at the ground. Then I also have a set of wire cutters. If I were to be crawling around and find myself entrapped, I can cut my way out. Also doubles as a gas key, so I can turn off any gas to whatever structure we're in, and then a spanner wrench on it as well, so that I can couple or uncouple our hoses.
Very nice. All right, and this next piece I see right here, what's this piece?
So this is our flash hood. This goes over our head and our mask, making us fully encapsulated. And it's really to protect your ears, the side of your face, and your neck from any heat exposure, which allows us to get a little bit deeper into a structure that's on fire than we would have been able to in the past.
So that can be a good thing and a bad thing, and that I would imagine that's where our training has to come in to be able to see and be able to tell what is dangerous and what is not.
That's exactly right. We have to fall back on our training, know when to stay and fight and when to get out.
Awesome. And what's this particular piece right here?
Well, this is our mask that connects to our regulator on our SCBA. It protects our face and allows us to get into a very dangerous environment. And it has a voice amplifier here on the side so that we're able to easily communicate with each other as well as talk on the radio.
That's a good point. I know when I first came onto the department, we didn't have those speakers, and you had as you said, a very difficult time communicating to even somebody that was next to you. So I'm glad to see that those have come out. And how about this next piece of equipment?
So this is our helmet. It protects our head. There's a suspension system on the interior that lets this helmet sit off of your head, cushioning any blow that you're going to get. It's designed with a crown here so that anything glances off, and then you have a bill in the back, unlike a normal hat in the front, to keep water from shedding off and going down your coat.
Right, because I can imagine that once the water is being shot all over inside a structure fire, you don't want it going inside your coat because it can also burn you.
Just like we talked about before, you don't want to get steam burn. Steam is bad.
Awesome. Okay, so this next piece of equipment, I know personally I get a lot of questions on this, our breathing apparatus. And one of the questions I inevitably get asked is it filled with oxygen?
No, it's just regular compressed air. So there is oxygen, but the percentage is the same as we're breathing right now.
Okay. And how long does this bottle last?
So this is technically a 45-minute bottle, but a firefighter that is in good shape should make that last about a third. So you should be able to stay in a dangerous environment for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. Are there any particular other, for lack of a better term, bells and whistles on this bottle?
There are a lot of alerts on here. So if the bottle were to not be functioning properly, there's an alert for that. When it gets low on air, approximately a third of the bottle, there's an alert for that. There's also an alert for it if you've been exposed to too much heat for too long. It sounds almost exactly like a smoke alarm inside a house.
Very good. Okay. Well, Brent, thank you very much for sharing all this with us. I think what we can do now is we can go ahead and dress you up in this so people can see what it looks like just before you go inside a structure fire.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Brent. Now, Firefighter Patterson is going to show us the actions that he takes if we were to get a call for a structure fire and how he can smoothly put his structure PPE on before we go to the fire. So go ahead, Brent.
All right.
All right, awesome. So you can see Firefighter Patterson has practiced this a time or two or 1,000, right? All right, so why don't we go ahead and disconnect your air now and take off your mask. Very good. So one of the questions I get asked all the time, Brent, is people they've told me that when they watch the fire department fighting a structure fire that they see different colors of fire helmets out there. So could you explain that for us, please?
Sure. Typically, firefighters and engineers or apparatus operators wear yellow.
Okay.
Your captain or your company officer is going to be in either red or orange.
Okay.
And then the white helmets that you see on scene are going to be battalion chiefs or other chiefs. They act as safety officers or they run the incident themselves.
Very good. Now, I know personally you've been in several structure fires throughout your young career. What were you thinking when you were inside that structure where it's hot, it's smoky, you can't see what's going on? What was going through your mind while you were in there?
The biggest thing that I think of is, one, accomplishing the task, which is put the fire out. But then the second thing that's always in the back of my mind is keeping track of where I am. It's dark, you can't see anything because the smoke is so heavy and you're crawling around on the ground. So making sure that I know where I am and in order to accomplish our task.
Awesome. Now, is this the same gear that you're going to be wearing for a wildland brush fire?
No, this is a lot different. This gear is heavier, thicker. It's meant to be inside a box or an oven. And then the wildland firefighting gear is a single layer of heat protection and abrasive protection that we can move around in as we're hiking all over the place.
Awesome. And then the final thing, we keep hearing this tone go off. Just quickly explain what that is right there.
So that tone is a lack of movement. So after 20 seconds, it's going to start going off and it's going to get progressively louder and change tone over the course of 30 seconds before it goes into full alert if I were to become incapacitated and stop moving.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a great safety feature that's been built into the breathing apparatus over the years. Well, Brent, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate your assistance in this, and I hope that answers some of the questions that you had about structure fighting personal protective equipment.